Good morning to everyone. A very warm welcome to our presentation this morning. We will hear from Amos Kova, who is the CEO Registree. We will be talking about networking as a job search skill. My name is Lisa Dazel. I'm from the Unisa Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. And with me, we've got Dr. Mashapata this morning, who will be welcoming us to this presentation. Thank you, Dr. Mashapata.
Yes, thank you very much, Lisa. Good morning to you all, the students, the staff from the Directorate for Counselling and Career Development who are behind this organization. Also, welcome to our guest speaker, the CEO of Registree, Mr. Amos Kova. Welcome to Unisa. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation to come and speak to us about the issues of networking as a job search skill. At the university, and also specifically in the Directorate for Counselling and Career Development, we are geared to assisting our students with all the required skills for employability as we enhance the graduate attributes in our education system. So I want to welcome you all and all the students, the participants. Wish you a very fruitful day and make good use of this opportunity. Welcome to you all and thank you for hosting this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mashapata. We will now have Mrs. Mandu Makanya, who's just going to introduce our speaker to us. Thank you, Mrs. Makanya.
Thank you, Lisa. It gives me pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for the day. He is the CEO at Registree and the founder of SAPNA and AMAVA Talent, a specialist in youth development. He has worked in various corporate organizations, including SAICA, CIMA and Nedbank, as a young talent specialist and project manager. He holds a number of qualifications from business schools, including an MBA qualification. It gives me pleasure at this point in time to call upon our guest speaker to present. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ma'am Makanya. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
We are very well, thank you.
We are very well, thank you.
Thank you very much. You would know that as a facilitator, also before COVID, a lot of us who are trainers thrived on face-to-face engagement and engaging with your audience. So since COVID and since we started teaching and sharing these presentations virtually, it's become a bit of a challenge because we miss that personal interaction. So that's why from time to time I would comment and wait for a response from the audience. So thank you very much for your time. I am truly humbled to be part of this amazing initiative by Unisa of empowering their graduates and their alumni. I think it's commendable as an institution not to only provide their students with qualifications and knowledge, but also to equip them with the right skills to make sure that they are relevant in the market and to ensure that they are able to go out there and find job opportunities. Now, just a little bit of background about myself. I work for an organization called Registree. Please look it up. Our website is registree.io. And what we do basically is that we connect employers with students at universities. We partner with universities to make student data available to employers to easily find the right talent for grad programs, internships, part-time work, you name it, whatever opportunities employers have. Prior to that, as been mentioned, I used to be at Nedbank. I was at RMB for a while. I spent a lot of time in youth development, doing training, facilitation of life skills. And for the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of consulting around strategy, HR, and helping organizations to build graduate programs and strategies. So I'm really, really excited today to be presenting to you networking skills and how important networking skills are in terms of you finding a job. Because the way you network, both in person as well as via social media and virtually, will determine what impact you make, what impression you put out there about yourself, who engages with your literature or with the information that you share, and therefore what kind of people do you attract for job opportunities. It's also important to know that jobs don't just come to you, especially in this virtual environment. You need to know the places where to find those jobs and how to get through to people. How I use the word stalking, how to stalk people professionally so that they actually give you an ear and pay attention to you. So the other exciting thing that's worth sharing is that my master's thesis I actually did on graduate unemployment in South Africa. So it's a topic that's very dear to my heart. And I'll be presenting my paper actually in a couple of weeks to the Department of Higher Education and Training. So please connect via LinkedIn. I'm not that active on Facebook or Twitter, but check out our website as well, and let's network virtually. All right. So just in terms of what you can expect in this session, because we've got just over an hour or so, what I'm going to cover is networking itself as a skill, firstly. We're going to talk about what networking is, the importance of networking, why networking is relevant and important to you right now in the phase that you are of your development, of your career, etc. We will then also talk about first impressions. And I need you to bear with me because I'm gonna both look at in-person as well as virtual first impressions. Because yes, you might right now be looking at virtual opportunities, applying virtually, engaging people virtually, but at some point there will come a time where you have to meet people in person. Now, let me tell you that I've had the privilege of working virtually since 2017. For a lot of people, when COVID happened, they only started this whole virtual thing, working from home. Our company does not have a physical office. All our employees are virtual. I absolutely thrive on working from home for lots of other reasons. You're able to achieve so much more. You save time, you don't sit in traffic. And if you look at the price of petrol right now, I would hate to be driving in and out to an office. So there are many benefits. However, for a lot of people that were working virtually or at home during COVID, when the time came where they were supposed to go back to the office, they needed to unlearn certain habits and, learn the importance of not only looking good and okay here, but focusing on the physical part as well. So hence I'm saying be patient with me. Under first impressions, I will look at things like grooming and some tips around how to make the right impression in person as well as virtual. Then we'll talk about network management. network management is basically where you have a network, however, you don't necessarily have the right approach in segmenting that network, understanding the value of that network, and who you can depend and rely on for what within that network. Now, those segments in that network, you also approach differently. You engage them on different platforms, different tones, and just in different ways as well. So in a nutshell, that's what we're going to cover in this session. Are there any questions at this point? I'm not sure if the setup is in such a way that people can ask questions, or do they just write questions?
Amos, what we've done is those who are attending are welcome to post their questions on the discussion board. For now, I have I've responded to some questions. Somebody asked just for your website that you mentioned, so I've responded to that. And then also a question about whether there will be recording available of this seminar, because some people, as you know, might be experiencing problems with connecting due to load shedding. So I've also just shared our YouTube channel.
Awesome.
So you can go ahead and present. What we'll do is I'll monitor the questions, so please feel free to ask questions as you are listening to the presentation. And then after you've presented, we will then look at the questions that you could respond to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for sharing the website. It's Registree.io. In my introduction, they mentioned also that I'm the founder of SAPNA, South African Professional Network Association. The website is sapna.co.za, and then amavatalent.com as well. Awesome. I am now going to share my presentation. Sorry. Please let me know if you can see my slides. I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Right, so I like to share at the beginning of every session, though unfortunately the way this one has been set up, we won't be able to engage apart from the questions that you'll be seeing, Lisa. But it's worth noting that ourselves as facilitators, we're not really lecturers, we're not teachers. The aim of these sessions and the way they've been designed is so that we engage with one another. We learn a lot from you. Others learn from you sharing your experiences. So I really want to encourage you to share questions. And Lisa, you can just let me know as and when you want to field a few questions. Sometimes we might not touch on specific burning issues that you are eager to get answers to, things that are relevant to you, and maybe challenges that you've had in the past, or any phobias or fears or concerns that you have. So the questions are very useful, and I'll try my best to respond to them. I might not know the answers to all the questions, but we will find answers for you. I also would like to mention that as facilitators, there is no such a thing as a stupid or silly question. We encourage you to ask any question, and we are here to create a safe environment that we can engage, be empowered, and teach each other and learn from each other as well. Now, in terms of the topic itself, networking skills, what's important to note is that I have been asked to emphasize on job search skills, both in person as well as virtually. So you want to equip yourself with the right networking skills to engage people in such a way that your career grows and develops. And that is important in the way you engage in written as well as in spoken engagement as well. So, what is networking? Maybe let's start there. Is there anyone that would like to share? Maybe you can share a couple of comments with us, Lisa. In your view, what is networking?
Okay, let's just give, so if you could just post your idea on what is networking on the Q&A, then I could read that out to Amos. Let's give you a minute or so to do that. So awesome. What is networking?
Are we getting anything, Lisa?
Not yet. Let's just see. Maybe people are still cold and they're struggling to type.
Okay, at least we know what kind of crowd we're dealing with now.
Yeah, so maybe we must just give people a bit of time to warm up, but yeah,
okay.
For now there's no comments.
Cool. All right. So let me share with you a couple of definitions of what networking is. It's interaction with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contexts. So interaction with others, so there are other parties or other people involved, and there's an exchange of information with the intention of developing professional and social contexts. Now, this is very important in the sense that in that exchange of information, the type of information that you share will determine which kind of professional context or social context you will attract, engage, or you will find interesting in return because of them sharing similar information. This is why it's very important to watch what you share on social media, especially LinkedIn. And I believe real social media people are almost like people with what do we call it? Split personalities. You find some people that behave very proper on LinkedIn. They share only the right professional stuff because they understand the importance of that platform. And at times you find the same people who have a totally different personality on Facebook and Twitter, because maybe there it's more of a social platform or network for them. And then maybe on WhatsApp, I know a lot of people share on WhatsApp statuses, a lot of stuff as well. So just understand your different audiences so that you don't share certain information with the wrong people and it will impact the way you are viewed professionally. Networking also involves establishing relationships with people who will often become your friends and community of colleagues as you go through your career. So in a similar fashion that when you get to varsity, you're likely to strike up great relationships for the rest of your working life. When you network at this level, you are also building your own community of people and colleagues. And you know what they say, birds of a feather flock together. So just be aware of association. It's critical in your career. Associate yourself with the right people. Do not be scared to unfriend or unfollow certain characters or people that are not portraying themselves in the way that you want to be viewed. Networking is not simply collecting business cards, and thank God during COVID we don't use business cards anymore, but it's deliberately looking for useful relationships. When you go to a networking event, you should go with the aim of deliberately finding people that are of value to you, people that are useful to you, people that inspire you, people that you aspire to be like, people that you would like to be mentored by, etc. Or people that you just like to be buddies or friends or hang out with. So in the same way with virtual as well, find those right people that you want to network with. Follow them, like them, write to them, approach them, etc. And then networking is engaging via social media by sharing articles, research, etc., and finding out about your competitors. What you share, I think I've mentioned this before, on social media or via social media is very important. If you want to be seen as a thought leader, you will share certain articles that are in line with the kind of work that you do. People will follow and read what you share, and you need to be consistent as well with what you share. And then when it comes to the use of social media and networking with people, if you are, let's say, in the banking sector, and your job entails doing some benchmarking at times, finding out what competitors are doing so that you can be ahead of the game, the way you network will help you establish relationships with your competitors and talk and network, move in the right circles, be up to speed with what technologies other people are using, and what's happening in your space. So it's quite important. Access to a mentor or network with like-minded professionals is probably one of the most important things of networking. A lot of us network because we want to find those people that can either open doors in your life later on, or people that will just share their knowledge and experience and their journeys as well. Hence, we network. And also, diversity is very, very important. That's the last point when it comes to networking. There is no value in you networking or hanging out with the same people as yourself. Maybe people that grew up in the same hood, similar backgrounds, studied the same thing as you, that are working in the same field. It's good, it's okay, it's a safe space to be in, but if you want to stretch yourself and open up different networks, you need to be open to networking with diverse groups of people in terms of their backgrounds, their race, their gender, their views, their opinions, etc., and all of those things. Okay.
Amos, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
Just acknowledge that there were 2 people who responded to your question.
Yes,
so
please.
one of you mentioned that networking is interacting with others on a social and professional level to form mutually beneficial relationships. And
Awesome.
then Simtimbile mentioned that networking is interacting with people who you share the same goals and views with.
Fantastic. You said it's Sitembile and?
The other one was posted anonymously.
Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, Sitembile. Awesome. Now, I'm going to be sharing in this time, I'm just looking at the time now, a lot of my personal experiences when it comes to networking. When I used to do these sessions in person, I used to invite professionals to come and talk about the impact networking has had in their own careers. So the reason why I started a networking platform about 10 years ago, SAPNA, is because I understood the importance of networking early in my career. I was passionate about creating an organization and a platform where people can be taught how to network and where people can simply get access to networks. I remember the time I moved to the UK, because I worked in the UK for about 5 years. Prior to that, I was in hospitality. I worked for Southern Sun, which was a lifestyle resort, 5-star, and I had made a lot of connections with a lot of the guests that used to come back every year because they had timeshare. And I will never forget the time I met up with the family in the UK that I didn't even really know, but I remembered their faces when we saw each other, and they remembered me because of the way I treated them or I served them. And that was one of many incidences where you had a client before or a customer that you've treated well, they remembered you and they reconnect with you, and they are literally willing to recommend you or open up doors in your life. So as you come across people in your networks, there will be some people that you might not like. They might not like you, and that's okay. That's normal. Life is not a popularity contest. All I would like to say and advise is that be aware of how you treat people, how you engage people, because you simply never know the future. Life is too short. The world is small. It has even become smaller during and post-COVID. So just take note of the way you relate to people and how you treat them, because you just never know where you might end up. Let me just quickly talk about the social balance when it comes to networking. Networking also has something to do with our personalities. And this comes through in the way we network in person, as well as how we share and network on social media. So if you have an introverted personality, most people would tend to be reserved in what they share because they are aware of their own space and their what is it called, their privacy, sorry. However, if you're on the other side of the spectrum, like, you know, these ladies dancing on the table here, if you're that kind of personality, you are likely to be very open with what you share with the world out there. What people see is what they get. You share absolutely everything on social media, and you are not scared to speak your mind on social media. So I just want to caution and say that it's important to find a good balance that matches your personality, that you are comfortable with, and that is in line with your professional view that you want to put out there. It's not recommended for you to be totally reserved, where you are not traceable, where you are not sharing anything virtually, etc. And on the other hand, where you are way too out there and outspoken via social media. I spent a lot of time in graduate recruitment and training, and it has become the norm now for a lot of companies. When they want to employ you, they actually Google you, they look you up, and there are softwares now that they can use where they check your social media footprint. So just be aware. We've seen a couple of horrible examples with a guy that was in Greek. He, you know, used the wrong words. His career kind of got destroyed. There are many examples like that. So just be aware, find the sweet spot that aligns to your personality and that still brings you across as a professional at the end of the day. Okay. Now, we're going to do a small exercise. I am going to share a link with you, but I'm not sure how it's going to work on this platform, Lisa. But I want you to do a self-assessment of your own networking skills, right? And I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. And let me just be clear, you will be rating yourself on your current skills or networking ability, not how you would like to be, but how you currently are, how you feel. So how satisfied are you with your own networking skills? And on a scale of 1 to 5, going from very unsatisfied, neutral at number 3, number 4 satisfied, and number 5 being very satisfied. How satisfied are you with your own networking skills? Please be honest. It's okay to be a 1 or it's okay to be a 5. This is not aspirational, but this is how you currently are. This is how we're going to do it. And I hope this technology works. I'm sure you might be familiar with this. If you click on this link at the top on menti.com, you punch in the code 2061656, or you simply scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. It will take you to where you can input your scores and respond to the question of how satisfied are you with your current networks? Sorry, with your current networking skills. Is that clear? Are there any questions?
Amos, what I did is I also just shared with people who are attending the question that's being asked.
Awesome.
Yeah, just as a bit of help. If you, for example, if you're on a phone, you could just point your camera at the QR code that's being shown on the screen, and
Awesome.
then it will take you to that Mentimeter website where you can do the self-assessment.
Awesome.
And then if those who are attending could just post, what is their rating on their current networking skills under the Q&A.
Awesome. All right, so let's give them a couple of minutes, and then I'll share the responses as they come in live on the presentation.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa. Lisa, can you still see my screen?
Okay, we can now see the screen. How satisfied are you with your networking skills?
Yes. So currently, majority of people are sitting at unsatisfied. Can we have more responses, ladies and gents, please?
Amos, could you maybe just share the QR code again and the link so that those who didn't catch it can catch it again?
Cool. And maybe you can also copy and paste it onto the messages, the link and the voting code, Lisa.
I'll do that.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll take the numbers that we have, or the stats, as our sample then. In terms of responses to this question, let me just switch my camera back on. Awesome. So thank you for your input. So, okay, it's changing actually. So majority of people are neutral. I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean it's neither here nor there for them? But 2.6 are unsatisfied, and very satisfied as well as very unsatisfied is the same number. So thank you for your honesty. For those who are unsatisfied, I suppose it's a good thing in that you aspire to be better at networking, and there's potential and room maybe for you to grow and learn more skills. That's a great thing. It's always good to have an open mind and be willing to learn and be better at something. So let's continue. I'm hoping that by the end of this session, you would have picked up a couple of skills that gives you a little bit more confidence when it comes to networking. So I'm going to move along. Why is networking important to you right now in your career? Firstly, as you enter a new phase of your career, moving from being a student and hopefully landing a job and starting your career, it is important for you to change your networks or have access to a larger network of people. Therefore, you need the right skills to engage and to access those networks. Believe it or not, there is also an expectation from a lot of employers or corporates or companies that you work for, especially depending on what kind of jobs you go into. If you go into a marketing role, a sales role, a business development role, there's an expectation that you will build your own networks or come with your own networks that the company can benefit from. You're also expected to make more money for the organization, and if that means that you have access to a network or a pool that you can tap into, or you will be the kind of person that hangs out at the right places where you can access clients, whether it's at the golf field or, at the, I don't know, polo field, Durban July, cricket matches, etc. Wherever the networks are, you can find them, you can close deals with them. Because this is where networking is so important for your career and your business. I've seen it so many times in business. You establish relationships at work, but those relationships are further developed and further established outside of the office. People connect more when they go out for drinks, when they end up at the same birthday parties or go to the same matches, etc. So it's really important for you to move in the right circles and be seen at the right places. You want to meet new people for your own benefit. Your social networks is your wealth. The more people you know, the more opportunities you have to extract value out of those relationships and networks. Given the competitive nature of the job market, it is important for you to have the right skills, to network and to find opportunities either for business, etc., for your own organization, and to be competitive as well yourself by who you hang out with and what value certain people can add in your life and career. Networking is also important in terms of exchanging ideas. The people that you hang out with, what information do you get from them that gives you a competitive edge, competitive advantage that enriches your work that you do. Gone are the days where people operate in silos and you stay in your own lane and you just stick to what you know and what you like. Curiosity has become very important. The world has been opened up through technology, so use the opportunities that you get virtually or face-to-face to exchange ideas. And then networking is also important for you to make useful connections. I think I've touched on this before. Do not be scared to walk away from connections that are not useful. That are negative. I personally run from negative people. If you're going to be moaning and complaining and only seeing the world in a negative view, you're not my kind of person. I will not hang out with you. So find the right people to hang out with, because at the end of the day, you want to benefit. Yes, it sounds selfish. Yes, at times it will look like you're a political schnoz or whatever they call it, but it's for your own benefit. Trust me, you will see it later in your career. You are not doing yourself any favors by hanging out with the wrong people that are important. Make sure that when you make connections, you add value and you are useful and resourceful yourself. Okay. Right. Let's move on to first impressions. I just want to share with you 5 ways to make a good impression in an interview, because like I said, you will be doing interviews, whether it's virtual or in person, and a lot of these apply to both. Number 1, be on time. You can't be late for a virtual interview. It's impossible. The reasons why people are late for interviews is they maybe don't switch on the PC on time, and then Murphy's Law, on the day you have an important meeting or interview, your computer decides like it wants to download and reboot. So the one way to overcome that is to log on time. 15 minutes before, 20 minutes before, rather be on and wait in the waiting room, mute yourself, but make sure you're on time. The same obviously applies for face-to-face interview or meeting. A lot of employers these days they have a first engagement with you before the real interview. So whether you're going for that discussion or for a lunch or a coffee chat, you treat it in the same way. So be on time. Number 2, you need to dress the part. And the word appropriate is very relevant here. Appropriate to the industry, to the company. You need to do your research and find out what the dress code is at the company. Figure out what day of the week it is. Maybe they have a dress down policy on a Friday and your interview is on a Friday afternoon. Do your homework and dress accordingly. It is better to be overdressed for an occasion rather than being underdressed. Because if you're overdressed, you can always take off your tie, take off your jacket, undo the sleeves and roll them up. But if you're underdressed and you rock up in a golf shirt, when everybody is wearing tuxedos or suits with ties, there's nothing you can do about it. And it just creates the wrong impression. If you're overdressed, people will be impressed that you've made the effort, as opposed you rocking up in chinos. That impression is not a positive one. In terms of attire, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there are simple do's and don'ts around jewelry that needs to be moderate, and the kind of dress code you should wear, both for ladies and gents. You know, a suit, the length of the dress, for the ladies, what kind of stockings you wear, the shoes, the dark shoes that should be clean, tidy, etc. The same applies for a virtual interview as well. Though they're only going to be seeing this, the shirt that you wear for the occasion, whether it's buttoned up and whether you're wearing a tie, the color of the shirt, your hair, the way it's done, and the makeup and the jewelry. Those are very important things. You also need to take cognizance of the fact that the way you treat people on the way to your interview could mean a lot, because on your way to the interview, you don't know who you're engaging with and how critical they are. If you are being aggressive and rude and you have a bad attitude at the reception or with the security, or with the PA or the administrator, trust me, the feedback comes back to HR. You might be great in the interview, you have the right skills and everything, but then the receptionist says, oh, but that guy was rude. He was late, he was aggressive, you made inappropriate comments, etc. So make sure you keep it nice and cool and professional and friendly with everyone that you engage with. That even applies to the person that sends you the email, invites you to the interview. The way you talk to them is very important. Let's talk about grooming. This is more for face-to-face, obviously, but any grooming where you are visible. The nails need to be the appropriate color and they need to have been done up the day before. The hair also applies, the shoes, and just your clothes being neat and ironed, the basics. And I've worked a lot with graduates. Now, a lot of graduates might not have money to buy the most expensive suit, but I always say it's not even about the label and the brand of the suit that you wear. Nobody cares whether you walk into the interview with a Hugo Boss or a, polo suit. You can have a suit from Markham's or Pep stores, or your dad's suit or your brother's suit. It's totally irrelevant. But if you do the basics in terms of making sure that it's cleaned, it's dry cleaned, it's ironed, your shirts are ironed, everything that you're wearing is neat, then you're good. Okay, so the 7 things then that we focus on grooming is overall cleanliness. We might take these things for granted, but if you go to an interview where you change a couple of taxis, your journey is quite long, it might impact on whether you still smell fresh, if you are running late, what odors are you giving off, whether you had to walk on a dusty road, whether it was raining, are your shoes still clean? That's why it's important to get there on time, check yourself and sort yourself out. The hair we've spoken about. For a lot of jobs, you can't do funky colors and, you know, exciting hairstyles. So keep it proper and professional, depending on the environment that you're going into. The nails we've touched on, the teeth, same thing. If you had a lovely breakfast with spinach or cheese or whatever that might get stuck in your teeth or that smells funky like garlic, just make sure that you are aware of those things. And then your attire overall, we've spoken of as well. And then number 6, makeup, not too much, minimal. Makeup is not there to transform you from being this person to be a totally different person. It's just to accentuate certain features that you have and make you look pretty. You'll be surprised. Majority of people look pretty without makeup. So the makeup should be minimal. And a tip to the ladies, I don't know how many ladies we've got on the session. Make sure that if you're wearing a foundation that is a different color, you can't be beige here and dark brown here in your neck. So just be aware, think about those things, look at yourself in the mirror before you leave. So take your time. It's probably not the best idea to be doing makeup while you're driving to the interview and having coffee at the same time for this kind of interview. Once you've got the job, yes, you can do whatever. And for guys, same thing applies as well. A lot of guys do wear cosmetics, makeup, and a lot of what do they call them? Scrubs and a lot of things, products that you use. So just be aware of that. Number 7, shoes. That's the last one. I think I've spoken about shoes. It's important for them to be clean. That's it. They don't have to be new. Now, the 5th way, or the 5th way to make an impression, or the other important thing, is to just be aware of what you bring to the interview. You dress appropriately. Sorry, you only bring the essentials, what you need. A little folder to write on, a pen. Don't go there without anything. You know, the fact that you don't have a pen and paper just shows that you are not thinking. You might be asked certain questions or to work out something where you're going to need to make notes. And because you're likely to be nervous, you are most likely not going to remember everything. So taking notes is okay, so that you can go back home and refer back to what you need or what you're looking for. Moving on to networking. So here's the critical part around job search skills and first impressions. So when you are looking for a job, it is important for you to do your research on the company. This is the basic. This is where it starts. You firstly do your research in terms of the companies that has a need for your qualification or your degree. It is pointless for you to go through varsity, study what you studied, and not know who your future employers are. So do your research about them. know what graduate programs they have, what internship programs they have, whether they have YES programs, whether they allow volunteer work, what their CSI is, how you can tap into that. Be smart about the different entry points into the organization. Then you do your homework around the culture, the type of people that are likely to survive in that environment. Then you go to your networks on LinkedIn. Who do you know that's in that company? How can you socially engage those people? How can you network and hang out with them? Maybe it's Discovery as an example, and they've got a soccer tournament. You like soccer, 7-a-side, or your son or your daughter is into sport. What are the engagement points that you can connect with that organization? Because chances are that you will be seen by people that might be senior or influential in a social setup. You get to know them and they can refer or recommend you for a role. I hope that makes sense. So your research around the company is very, very important. Okay. Secondly, you need to know the who's and like the people that are in charge, who's who in the company. So do your research around the leaders, the CEO, so that when you engage through an interview or any platform, you've got the basic information. What is the structure of the company? Do they have sister companies? Do they have a parent company? Who are the board members? You know, what are the initiatives they run? The overall information that's all available as public knowledge or in the annual financial statements. And around that information that you need to know, you also need to know the share price, where they operate geographically, where the head offices are, you know, etc. So make it a point that you research properly. You also need to do research on people that will interview you. Let's say you get invited for an interview. These days it's easy. You just type in the name into LinkedIn. You're likely to find the person there. For recruiters, obviously, you can use PNet, you can use Career Junction. There are a whole lot of job boards that you can also use to find jobs and to find people. You also need to be aware of your social media activities. This ties back to what we said earlier. Your first impressions will a lot be influenced by what kind of guy or girl you are on social media. If you are that guy on LinkedIn that shares things that you should not be sharing in business, politics, sex, money, or religion, because they're controversial, and sometimes they're conversation killers, but depending on the setup, they could be, if you're in a safe environment, they could be conversation starters as well. So just know your audience and be aware of what you share on social media. You need to follow industry relevant groups on social media. LinkedIn, ladies and gents, is a very powerful tool. But I know that when you are depressed and demotivated because you've been looking for a job for a long time, LinkedIn can be very intimidating, because the minute you open LinkedIn, congratulations, I have a new job, and you keep flipping up. So many people have got new jobs, they've been promoted, and when are you sitting there, you are not getting a job. I know what it feels like because I've been there as well. But look at the positive side. If you consistently use LinkedIn to find the right people, share the right information, and read through articles, see what people are sharing, identify opportunities, and do not be scared to approach people. If somebody has shared an opportunity, inbox them, Google the company, get the email address or phone, or go to the company in person and find the connection. It takes a lot of hustling to get jobs, and sometimes we just don't do enough. We are not consistent for long enough. We give up just too early. So have guts and have grit to continue looking. I think I've spoken about sharing the right professional articles because it shows people that you are serious about what you're doing. Also, very importantly, let's say you've been to an interview, and trust me, in order for you to get the right job, it is very unusual for you to get a one-hit wonder. Where you go to one interview and you get the job. You are likely to go to many interviews. You'll get a thank you note. And even if they decline you, politely respond and say thank you very much. You can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Be very genuine there. Say, thank you very much. You appreciate them taking the time. Though it is unfortunate you didn't get the job, there's nothing wrong with you asking if you could keep in touch, for any other future roles, or whether they can recommend. Let's say you're dealing with, what example can we use? An organization who has sister companies, let's say Bidvest Group, for instance, and you went to the catering side and your skills can be applied in the security business. Be upfront and say, would you mind connecting me with your HR colleagues in the security business? Because now you're thinking outside the box, and people appreciate that. Instead of sulking when they decline you, and you say, but I want to know why I was declined. Can I have feedback? That's career limiting. It's not going to help you. Be polite and stay in contact, even if you were not offered the job, like I said. So just to continue on engagement or networking, it is important when you meet people to have very clear and good introductions, both via email, probably more importantly, via virtual platforms. When you meet somebody in person, you have a better chance of making a good impact and being remembered if your body language is good and the tone of your voice is good. You dressed appropriately, because then they will remember the visual, what you said, and the rest, the setup. But when it comes to virtual and you're trying to strike up a conversation or a connection via LinkedIn, it's a lot more difficult because they only use what they see, what you've written. So the way you introduce yourself, be clear, precise, concise, and make sure that it's a memorable introduction. When it comes to face-to-face, sorry, I have a bit of a flu. The handshake is important. Confident, firm handshake, no wet fish, sloppy business, no Kasi style, whatever, cool stuff. Eye contact, and you smile, because that's a sign of confidence. Now, I know when you're nervous, you can't really smile confidently because your face wants to do its own movements and your eyes want to not make eye contact. But make sure that you get that one right, because People always remember that. The firm handshake, the eye contact, a sign of confidence, and then the smile as well, being friendly and kind. Once you open up and ease up, people become chilled and relaxed with you and around you as well. Now, the equivalence of this on email, ladies and gents, is the tone, the choice of words. You know, things like simple words like please, could I would like to, I would love to, I would appreciate if you could. So your tone and the choice of words is very important, where you come across as polite versus being pushy and aggressive and demanding. You also need to be relevant. Office, social, family gatherings, the way you network there are totally different, both in the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you network. Those are very different things. The in-person networking thing in the office, I think we're all very clear there, is that you get into the job market, you make connections, you find the right people, you dress appropriately. If you work for a virtual company like ours, social media and the use of virtual technology is very important. I mean, one of my biggest struggles as a CEO is making sure that our company has a culture and making sure that you understand how your people feel at any given point. Are they overwhelmed? Are they overworked, underworked? You know, are they engaged? Are they working as a group? Are they collaborating? Are they sharing enough? Those are all dynamics that were not there pre-COVID. So make sure that you network and engage in such a way that people will still see you as somebody who adds value, somebody who is always putting up their hand for work and who's supportive, etc. You need to be genuine and show real interest. You can't be lukewarm. You need to be passionate about certain things, and you need to be genuine, and you can't be fake. That's very important. People can smell and pick it up from miles when you're being fake. And the problem with being fake is that you can only fake for this long, for so long. At some point, the natural real you will come out. So be genuine about how you feel about certain things, how you relate to certain things and people, and be open and honest. Personally, I appreciate people where I know exactly where I stand with you. If you don't really like me, it's okay, but we are still colleagues. We are being respectful. If you really like me, I want to know. One day, I don't want to find myself in a situation where I think, okay, we're good, we work together, we've got each other's backs, we work together on a project, the next minute you backstabbing me, or you're supporting a different team, we are not singing from the same hymn sheet. Those are very important things. And remember two things. Try and remember two things about someone that you meet. Now, if you look at influential personalities like Utatu Mandela as well, they got this down to the T, where they make people feel accepted and important. As you meet people, virtually or in person, try just to remember two things, whether it's about their pet or their child, or their passion, or something outside work that they love. Sport. We all relate to sport very well. I had a very funny experience a couple of weeks ago. I had friends over from the UK that were visiting, an ex-colleague who now works and lives in Manchester, but she works for the UN. So she was here with her mother, and we went out for lunch. We had pizza, and my one son, my 11-year-old son, Ulisi, he did something very funny, but I thought it was interesting. So as we're sitting down, as we're chatting, we were at a big table. In total, I think there were 7 or 8 of us. And then he was sitting next to my friend's mother. And he tried to strike up a conversation. He asked her if she watched football. And the lady said no. But I thought it was funny because for him, that's what he knows. That's what he talks to his friends about. But, you know, unfortunately, the context, somebody who's in their 70s is not likely to be that passionate and talk about Man City and all of those things. So make sure that you try and connect with people with what they like. You might get to any event or meet somebody who's important. They are passionate about what you don't know. You perhaps need to challenge yourself and make it your responsibility to learn something about what they like. Because chances are, if they're passionate about it, every time they see you, they're going to want to talk about Formula One or football or whatever it is. So though you are not into it that much, try and look up something about it. Because the next time you see them, that's going to be a conversation starter. How you doing? Did you see what Hamilton did last week? Or, you know, what the Springboks are doing? Whatever their passion is. That connects you. And then it becomes easier to talk business. You also need to learn not to interrupt conversation. That goes so well with hearing and listening. When you talk to people, let them talk and let them finish. And then you can give your point. Unless if you're dealing with somebody who does not stop talking. You do get some people like that. And if it's one of those, then you need to find polite ways of interjecting or just quietly walking away from conversations, or, I don't know, doing something about it. But for the normal kind of person, if you're having an important conversation, don't disrupt their flow. Listen carefully. There's a difference between somebody who's listening attentively and somebody who's listening to respond, because you can see it in the body language. You can see it in their eyes. They're there, but they're not there. Somebody says something important and you just move on and you say something else. I often say that if somebody mentions to you in a work environment something, let's say they've had a loss in the family, or whether their cat died or something that's traumatic to them, and you just skip over it and you focus on work, there's a problem there. You need to acknowledge, deal with that. Obviously, you're not going to sit and moan and cry about the cat that died for the whole session, but you will just make them feel that you acknowledge, you understand, and maybe unpack the feelings, just understand what's happening, and you move on. That shows signs of maturity and somebody who's listening attentively. Always conclude with a thank you. It was great meeting you. I would love for us to meet again. It's like a date, ladies and gents. The start is as good as the end, because it determines whether there'll be a second date. So make sure you start well with a good, clear introduction, a proper handshake, smile, eye contact, and then you do the bit in the middle, and then you conclude strong. Last impressions, what they will remember, the way you walked away, that hug or the handshake or the thank you or the goodbye, it's important. And then follow up is the last one. There's no point in you just leaving it there. Also find a balance. You're not going to be emailing them every second day to find out. Maybe say to them, what is the way forward? When can you expect to hear from them? If they say 3 weeks time, then you know in the 4th week you follow up. or if they say you're the last person that we're interviewing, we are ready to make offers by next week, you should know. So in 2 weeks' time, if you haven't heard, then you kindly follow up. Does that make sense, ladies and gents? Can we get some feedback? Any questions at this point? Lisa, is everyone still there? I hope I'm not talking to myself.
We are still here, Amos. I've got about 5 questions that were posted while you were talking.
Okay.
So if you want to, we can start with those.
Yes,
But
please.
I would also encourage those that still have burning questions to post these so that we can see before we end
Cool.
if there's anything else.
Fabulous.
Okay, so are you done with your presentation? Can I maybe share my screen with the questions?
You can. I'm not done yet, but I can give you a couple of minutes to share.
Okay.
I've stopped sharing.
Okay, so there were some questions. Jess asked, do you have any suggestions on how to establish that boundary between being authentic and professional, but not so authentic that you cross the line into being unprofessional?
That's a good one. Okay, so Jess, it's all about managing perception and behavior. Now, human nature, it's human nature for us to want to be free and ourselves. So you must understand your personality and how your normal personality and behavior links up to the company. And this is such an important question, Jess, because I've got a friend who works for, I'm not going to mention this financial institution in Cape Town, a young black girl from Joburg, who recently went through an issue where the HR department told her to tone things down. So understand the environment in the company and try by all means to be as natural as possible and authentic, but not overstepping the boundaries when you become too relaxed. I'm not sure if that answers you, but I think that the bottom line is understand what's acceptable behavior and culture and how it relates to your normal personality, and try and be as close as possible to it. We're not saying that you should be cloned to be exactly like everybody else and be boring, or, you know, to be exactly like everybody else, but make sure that you know where that boundary line is. And the best example I can give of this is that I've been in a lot of organizations where on Fridays there are free drinks. And it became the downfall of many young professionals. So they go there for the free drinks, they go overboard, they drink too much, and they ended up doing things that they are embarrassed about on Monday. Just be aware of those things. Thank you very much. Dombi, your question is, what if my social media history is not good for me? Do I mention this to the employer? Sure, it depends how bad, Dombi. But I suppose it is safer for you to declare it up front. If you know that you said things that normal guys or that you should not have said, maybe just make the employer aware so that when it does come up or when they do pick up, they would give you credit for being honest, because you can't hide it. You can't walk away from it. And then Martha, is it okay to follow up after an interview, and how long should you wait? Yes, it is okay to follow up. Like I said earlier, maybe when you leave, try and establish from them what the process is going forward and how long you could expect to hear from them. And you take your cue from there, because you don't want to be stalking them. And then Kaya, your question, what to do if a recruiter ghosts you after an interview? So I'm afraid, Kaya, there's not a lot that you can do. I mean, you can be aggressive and what's the word? Bombard them with messages. This word just escapes me. But unfortunately, there's not much you can do, hey? And Kaya, the reality is that it is so unfortunate. A lot of employers ghost people. We've all been through it. It is sad, especially if you deal with recruitment agencies. They go through people like you can't believe. They move on quick. If you don't fit the criteria, if you're not the person they're looking for, they most of the time don't have the time or the courtesy to come back. Guess what? You just need to move on as well. And then, Dombi, can I ask why I did not get the job? Dombi, it's a tricky one. You're allowed to ask because this is a free world. You can ask for anything, but it doesn't always create the right impression. I suppose it's also in the way in which you ask it, right? So if you say to them that you would like to get feedback because you want to improve in how you present yourself so that you can be successful, yes, every recruiter would be willing to give you that information. Just be open to criticism and be willing to accept feedback. I hope I've answered your questions. It says we've got 5 minutes. Is that true? Does it mean we're going to get cut off in 5 minutes?
We won't be cut off, Amos, but yeah, we've got 5 minutes left for the time that we scheduled, but we won't disappear.
Let me wrap up then. All right, so I'm going to skip this exercise. Obviously, we can't do it. Let's talk about network management. I've just got 2 slides on that. How many people do you know? Obviously, we don't have time now, but it's always interesting when you think about this question. Do you think you know 10,000 people, 5,000 people, 100 people? Now, whatever that number is, from those people that you know, you need to be able to segment them. And typically, these are the groups that they fall into. You've got family, you've got friends, you've got significant others. Some people have got bigger groups of significant others than other people. You've got school friends, faculty, staff, alumni, etc., past and present co-workers, neighbors, club, associations, organizations, and people at the gym, coffee shop, grocery store, people at church. The point here is that from the number of people that you know, you could segment those people in different groups. And guess what? Once you've put them into the segments, you then get a good idea of who can add what value in your life and in which parts of your life. So in your personal life, will it be your friends, your buddies, your pastor, relationships? Will it be significant others? You know, in terms of your career, your sport, is it your coach, your mentor, business partner? Do you have a bigger brother and a bigger sister? Ladies and gents, this one is very, very important. We all in corporate need a bigger brother or bigger sister. That's why you need to get in there and network and find somebody that you like, somebody that has the same values as you, who's been there, who understands the dynamics. You have casual coffees with that person, and you must be the one that invites them to coffee and buy coffee for them. It's very inexpensive. Don't take them to Starbucks, take them to the company's cafeteria. Virtual has made it even easier these days. You ask for 20 minutes or half an hour with the person, put it in their calendar, and you just chat. Say to them, you know, you're new in the environment. What tips do they have? How do you make sure that, you know, you understand your team? You can talk specifics and say you in investment banking, you're trying to understand their culture. What can they share with you? Okay. So understand what you can expect and what you'll get from each of those networks. Now, how to manage your networks. Once you've got your networks, maintain contact. Family will require more regular contact, different contact than your social people. Make time for catch-ups. If you want to be top of mind with people, especially for opportunities, make time, find time, because you value the relationship. Share relevant information, know your next career move, and start building those networks. You don't wait until you're unemployed or your contract ends. Start doing the homework and building the networks early in your career. Introduce people to one another that have common interests. People always appreciate that. I do it all the time. I thrive on connecting people, and then don't ask for something before you have offered something to someone. Just be aware of that, because it creates the wrong impression if you start the relationship and all you do is taking and asking. If you're asking for advice, though, it's a different thing. And then build a relationship over time. It's like a red wine. It matures over time. It takes a while to get better. You need to earn your trust. I mean, I have some relationships that I've had for 10 years or longer, and I'm still not where I am with other relationships. So each relationship is different depending on who you're dealing with and how you relate to that person. Be kind. Be clear on what you want, and that concludes my session with 1 minute spare for any questions you might have.
Amos, there's just one last question that came through from Sydney. What do you do if you come across the interviewers who seem not interested in you as a candidate, or you qualify and called for a job, but someone less qualified gets the job?
Sydney. Yeah, so if they look disinterested, Sydney, you must just do the same and return the favor. No, I'm joking. It is unfortunate. There's nothing you can do, Sydney. You can't call them out on it. Yeah, you just give your best. You put your best foot forward. I've seen very funny things in corporate, Sydney. I used to have a boss that used to fall asleep during meetings, but he wouldn't miss anything. When he wakes up, it's like he picks up exactly where he left from. I remember I once had a disciplinary hearing from a grievance that I lodged, and the person that facilitated the discussion was also dozing off, but he was way too senior for me to do anything. So there's not much you can do. And unfortunately, if you've applied for a job and they take somebody who's less qualified than you, it's painful, I know, but you can't challenge them. You can't call them out on it. But I think it proves the point, Sydney, that the qualification and the experience is only one element that people consider about whether you get the job or not. There's a whole lot of other aspects that they take into account. So I think for your own preparation, know that it's important to have the right qualification and experience, but also your personality, your social media footprint, and then all the other stuff, the way you talk to people, your personality, and just the draw of luck as well, Sydney. Unfortunately, we're in an environment where, I remember years ago at Nedbank, when we would apply for or put out adverts for graduate programs, we would be looking for 20 grads. We would get something like 17,000 good applications that meet the criteria from all universities in the country. So it's rough out there. You need to be strong and you need to be consistent and keep trying. Guess what? One day you'll get the right opportunity, because timing is different for each one of us. Our blessings come at different times.
Thank
Lisa?
you. Yeah, thank you very
you.
much, Amos. Can you maybe switch on your camera?
Over to you, Lisa.
Yeah, is there any kind of last?
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me.
Yeah, so maybe
1 second.
to show the participants, your face, and then just some last comments.
Awesome. That's my pretty face.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
We want to thank you very much, Amos. I'm just going to ask my colleague, Becky Mzobe, to just end off the session for us. But just from my side, I really appreciate all your knowledge that you've shared with us. And I am sure that, those who participated got a lot from the session. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. Becky, maybe you're on mute. You are on mute, actually.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Lisa. Good day, everyone. On behalf of my colleagues and students, I convey our gratitude and heartfelt thanks to our guest speaker today, Mr. Amos Kova. Mr. Kova, we thank you for accepting our invitation for today's event. Thank you for an outstanding presentation.
Thank you,
You
sir.
shared valuable information that is imperative to equip our students with the job search through networking. Not only for students, I as a staff member, I also learn a lot from your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
You spoke about networking as a skill. What is networking? Why networking is important? First impression and network management. It was a very informative presentation, Mr. Kova. I hope our students will take advantage of this information to prepare themselves to face their struggle for job search. Once again, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Our special thanks also go to our students for coming and becoming part of today's event. Your presence is appreciated. Without your presence, this event wouldn't be a success. We would also like to encourage our students to keep on searching on My Unisa for more information about future events of this nature. We thank you. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Becky. Just as a last reminder, we did record this session, so we will make it available on our YouTube channel to those who maybe couldn't stay and get the valuable information. So you could just search for Unisa Careers on YouTube, or then the direct link is youtube.com/Unisa Careers. Once again, thank you very much from all of us, and thank you to Amos, who shared all his expertise with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everyone. Have a fabulous day. Let's connect via social media.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, Amos.
Thanks,
and
ma'am.
thanks to everyone.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.